Folks, today I've got a very exciting guest with us. Her name is Ariel Vox, and you can find her at Ariel Vox. It's ArielVox.com. Ariel is an author, a speaker, and an educator, and she has two exciting books we're going to talk about today. One is Crack the Luck Code, and the other is Fear to Fierce. Ariel, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Chuck. It's such a pleasure to see you.
So I'm very excited to talk about this because I want to find out from you what reframing fear is. We hear this word fear and we're afraid of it. We know one thing. I'm afraid.
Isn't it fascinating? I was thinking today, you have seen the face of anybody else, but you have never, ever, ever seen your own face without the help of a mirror. I find this really fascinating.
Yeah.
And exactly the same is valid for fear. That's the secret to fear. Fear is a mirror. And without fear, you cannot possibly see inside of yourself, your soul. You can't see deep inside without the help of a mirror. So if you want to create a self-image in the physical world, you can't create it if you don't have a mirror. It's exactly the same with your inner world. So there are two types of fears. Number one is the intuitive, instinctive fear. The second one is fear due to illusionary barriers. So the first one is instinctive fear. It's the one that prevents you from death, from danger. The second one, the illusionary barriers, is the one that prevents you from life. With this fear blocks you from living life to the fullness. So let me explain. Instinctive fear, and when there is a true danger for your physical existence. And this happens even on a subconscious level. Your conscious mind might not even be involved at all. For example, a bug is flying toward your face. You instinctively close your eyelid. You may not have even noticed the bug. Or there is a car coming, just about to hit you, and your body moves out of the way. You might not have even realized there is a car. Or let me give you another example. You're driving. Your brain is in your head, but your mind, 1,000 miles away. With your colleagues, you're resolving some kind of conflict. Suddenly the car in front of you brakes, and you intuitively brake as well, even though you're not thinking about it. So this is the first kind of fear. And it's very healthy. It boosts your adrenaline because you need mental clarity, because there is a danger for your physical existence. And just 5 minutes later, no problem, you're laughing with your friends and probably telling them about the reckless driver. This fear has long-term positive impact on your life, not negative impact. This fear is good, it's healthy, it's a lifesaver. But then there is the other fear. And this is the life waster. That's when your conscious mind becomes active. So many people call it anxiety. I don't call it anxiety because they say anxiety is when there is no real danger. In fact, there is still real danger, but it's not in the physical world, it's inside. And that's why you need the mirror so that you can look inside and see this illusionary danger, which is real and illusionary at the same time. I'll explain. So this is the kind of fear that blocks life. And it makes you build walls around you. You build your own prison and you lock yourself in this prison because you're trying to protect yourself from something. So when you're inside the box, you feel safe. And this prevents you from action because you want to hide your vulnerability and your hidden stress. Beyond that box is your freedom and it's your dreams. But this box feels comfortable for a while and then it starts to feel very uncomfortable. But still it gives you the illusion of safety. So let me give you an example. Fear of failure. Many people say, I have a fear of failure. No, you don't. It's just a box. It's not your real fear. And it's a fear that paralyzes you. But actually nobody has fear of failure. Let me prove it. When you're a child, you were born without fear of failure. You would fall, 100 times and you'll still keep walking. You will talk and nobody will understand what you say, but you keep talking. And you might think it's only when you're a child, but no, when you're adult, it's exactly the same thing. You learn to drive. You don't know how to drive. So you learn through trial and error. That's failure and success. And then if you want to learn to cook, if you want to learn another hobby, you still do it through failure and success, trial and error. And there is no problem. Nobody has fear of failure, right? But then when is the problem? When there is some kind of hidden fear behind the failure. So this is the problem. So it's not the fear of failure. There is something hidden. But you can use the fear of failure as a mirror to discover what the hidden fear is. So failure is not the problem. In fact, failure is an illusion because you cannot succeed without failure. And failure is 100% necessary for success. Because, for example, if you want to lift 50 kilograms, initially you were successful at 20, but you are not successful at 25. But you keep exercising more and more and more, and then you are successful at 25, but you are failing at 30. So failure is simply revealing your ceiling so that you can push through that box. So if you're not failing, you're not succeeding either, because you can never go to 50 before you fail at 25 or 30 or 40. And here is a really good example. If you are an NBA level player and you go to play at your local school's basketball team, you will never fail because you're stronger, you're taller, you're more experienced, and most importantly, the resistance is low. So you will never reach your limits, so you will never fail. But in time, you will lose your NBA level skills because to be an NBA player, you need to have NBA level resistance. So that's why failure is just a box. It's just a mirror. Use it to explore your deeper fears. And now many people say, I have fear of failure, but there are other people who realize I have fear of success. I had this fear, for example, and many other people, even if they don't realize it yet. But just imagine if you were to earn 1 million, you would have to pay maybe 3, 4, 500,000, 500,000 in tax. Do you realize that people might not want to earn 1 million because they have to give half of it away? So then once you earn that million, you will have to face the reactions of everybody around you. You have to answer their questions. Maybe they'll be asking you for money. Maybe you'll lose friends because they'll be jealous. So people have what appears to be fear of success, but actually it's fear I will lose my friends or I have to pay this tax. So you have to look deeper, and you can use this mirror to see the deeper level. And once you earn the 1 million, see, there are some people who instantly buy a flashy car. Why? Because they need the validation, the approval of others. They need it. That's their hidden motivation. There is someone else who will remain humble. And you might think, oh, they're just humble. But that's not necessarily the case. There are many options why they're being like that. But one of the options is because they don't want to be asked. They don't want to be investigated by their friends and don't want everybody to ask them for money, and they don't want to find a wife who will be with them only for the sake of the car. So that's all hidden fears. And these boxes, both of them, they just hide your true vulnerabilities. And in many cases, people choose to remain small so that they can avoid complications. It's just you are scared to lose something, so you keep inside the comfortable zone, which in time gets very uncomfortable. So the second fear paralyzes you. And if you think about it, if there is a tiger and tiger comes after you, the purpose of fear is to make you run as fast as you can. But this second kind of fear paralyzes you because the idea is to look deep inside. So you are paralyzed from action so that you can actually move your thinking inward and think inside. So look at it as a blessing. The first year saves your life, physical life, and the second fear is also blessing because it's like a shadow. If you know these games where you make shapes with your hands and you see them as a shadow, like a theater on the wall. And if you want to change the shadow, you can't change the shadow. You can't do it. You have to change your hands. So the shadow is just an indication of what is happening somewhere else. So use it in a smart way.
Wow. Yes. So basically it's we are putting like you said, we are putting ourselves in that box and we are making our own fear, and it will limit us. And some fear is good fear because it protects the physical you, right? And
Every
then
fear is good for you, but only if you look at it as a blessing. If you realize that this fear comes to your life to reveal something. Because let
uh,
me ask you a question. If you have 1 million and you cannot sleep at night because you're worried the bank may go bankrupt or you may lose it or anything bad could happen. I don't want to talk about negative scenarios. If God was to give you 10 million, would this be a blessing or would this be a curse? It wouldn't be a blessing because you can't sleep even on 1 million.
that is true. Yes.
Mm.
Then I have to change my thinking. But yeah,
That's the
it's
idea, the mental shift.
how do people make that mental shift? Because people have a difficult time making the
Well,
mental shift.
I love this. It's probably a key sentence that I always say. When you turn the light on, darkness disappears almost instantly. So awareness, the moment you have awareness, 90% of the problem is gone. Because
Uh,
the reason you are in confusion is because it's dark. You don't understand why is this happening to you. And also people tend to look outside. People always think outside. So I'm hurt, I'm experiencing this trauma, this limitation because this person did this to me or because this situation happened to me. So I earned this money, but then this and this happened that caused me this and this problem. People always look outward. No, you need to use every situation to look inward. You have to believe that everything happening to you is not an accident. It's happening for your ultimate good. That's a very big topic if you
it's
want to get there, but if I can just say it in one sentence, you either live this life thinking that there are no miracles, or you think that everything is a miracle. Because if you look at nature, it's just impossible that this would happen by accident, at least to me. I can't believe that a computer needs someone to create it, and then you go and look at nature and this just happened by accident. I don't believe this. And if it didn't happen by accident, it happened by design. That's another topic that I love to talk about, when things are happening by design. And if it happened by design, anything that is coming to you is not an accident either. It's coming for your greater benefit.
yeah, because you do talk about designing your destiny, I think, right? So
Yeah,
you create, you design. Can you give us a little bit about that?
yeah, absolutely. Have you noticed that the word destiny and the word destination are virtually the same word? Do you think that's an accident? Now you know me and I don't believe anything is an accident. Because whatever you choose as a destination will become your destiny. Whether you choose it or not, or whether you leave it up to chance, your destination will become your destiny. That's why I have a blueprint. I call it the 4D. Decide on your destination so that you can become the designer of your own destiny.
I
See,
like that.
Shakespeare,
Yes.
yeah, Shakespeare said that whole the world is a stage. And if you think about it, many people spend their life in the audience seat, just watching how their life will unfold. This is when you leave your life to happen by chance. You just sit and watch. But then you are not created to be in the audience seat. You're created to be the star of your own life. And how do you do that? It's very easy. You simply have to add the letter T and start. And
Yes.
T stands for transition from the audience seat into the big stage of your life. And this is actually a 5-step blueprint as well, which I describe this way. The first letter is S, and it stands for stop. So if you want to start, you first have to stop. You can't start something new without stopping something old. So you build inertia, and that's what you need to stop. That's why when you have a problem, you have a way you always have responded to this situation. So that's like a habit. You need to break the habit. How do you do it? First, you have to pause. Instead of going directly into your automatic response, just pause for a moment, stop, and then move to the next letter, which is T. And this is tune into your intuition. Look deep inside. Your intuition is the guiding navigation voice inside. It's very quiet, so you have to really look deeply to find it and to hear it. And also this is track and trust. So track how in the past your intuition helped you. And then that's how you learn to trust it. Because if you think about it, many years ago, you might have really wanted something and it didn't happen. But if you look from the perspective of today, you know if this thing happened, you wouldn't have been happy. It wouldn't have been for your good. So you are really grateful from the position of today that it didn't happen. Sometimes the opposite, something you thought was really bad happened, and now 20 years later you realize it was the biggest blessing of your life. But you would never realize this unless you think back, track back, trust into your intuition, and that's the way you tune into it. So you adjust, recalibrate. And then A stands for analyze and adapt. So analyze your mistakes, adapt, but don't be too critical. We tend to blame ourselves, judge ourselves. That's completely unnecessary. Just analyze. You're on the path of growth. Just analyze, adapt, and move forward to letter R, which stands for redirect. So it's not enough just to stop your old journey. You have to redirect. You have to allow your sat-nav navigation system to reroute you. And even if you make a mistake, don't worry, because it will tell you, you missed this exit, but just go to the next one. It's absolutely fine. I'll still take you to your destination. How do you do that? Training, books, podcasts. The most important thing is practice your new self, not your old self, because with practice, everything becomes perfect. And then we have letter T, which stands for target. So have a laser sharp focus on your dream, on your goal, because where your eyes go, that's where you go. If you try driving forward, but you look to the side, you can't do it. You'll get on the pedestrian, right? So you need to have a very sharp. Have you ever done this? I had a professor who has done this. He said he was looking at a very beautiful lady and he went in the wrong direction. So never do that. Just have a laser sharp focus on your dream. Because if you're chaotic, if you're not committed to your destination, remember your destination becomes your destiny, whether you choose it or not, whether you leave it up to chance or not. So It's important also not to take action at some times. Everybody will tell you take action toward your dream, but sometimes you shouldn't take action. And let me give you examples. For example, if you haven't slept well, you need the rejuvenation. You will take, like if you haven't slept, you will not be seeing your destination clearly. So you might make a mistake. So don't action at that moment. If you are depressed, you will be seeing all these bad scenarios. That's bad destinations. So don't make fundamental decisions and choices when you're depressed. Everybody has moments when they're more depressed, and they have moments when they feel brighter. So wait until you feel a little bit brighter and then make a small choice. And then when you feel a lot brighter, make a bigger choice or bigger decision. Also, if you're not sure what you want, don't rush. Give yourself time. Don't do something just for the sake of doing something. And also, if it's too early, be careful with the timing. It's equally important to have the right timing, not just to do the right thing. If you do the right thing at the wrong timing, it's still the wrong thing. So make educated risks. Research, prepare, and then move forward. And lastly, don't do 10 things, don't action on 10 things at a time. Have a focus. Because 10 things, none of them will get done. And actually, there is one thing I want to tell here.
Yes.
Very positive, very, I think, uplifting. If you want to have success, I heard this from somewhere. I can't remember where I heard it from. But you need to have the confidence of a 4-year-old with a Batman costume. So you need to be a little bit delusional about success. You need to have, when people look at you, they should think, is this courage or is it stupidity? Just imagine when the brothers Wright tried to fly for the first time. So they had many unsuccessful attempts, and probably it looked like stupidity to anybody else. And just imagine everybody around them and probably judging them. What are they doing? That's silly, that's stupid. But they had the delusion to keep going. And their first flight was only 12 seconds. And their longest flight was only 24 miles. It doesn't seem like something huge now when we can fly so much more, right? But they did something that was extraordinary at that time. Why? Because they had something that looked like stupidity to anybody else, but it was courage. It was a little bit crazy, a little bit delusional. That's how you need to go ahead with your dreams.
These are very good. Now, all this that we're talking about is coming from your book, Fear to Fierce, right?
Yes. Up to this moment, yes. Everything is from fear to fierce. That's correct.
Just want to jump in real quick and say thank you for watching and listening to this podcast with Ariel Vox. We're coming up on part 2 of our conversation, and this is going to be on her book, Crack the Luck Code. So another reminder is if you're a pet owner, please be responsible and have your pets spayed or neutered. All right, let's get right back to it. Your other book is Crack the Luck Code.
Mm.
So I think you talk about maybe luck as being a myth or myth is luck. What is luck? Because if we can't leave things to chance, and I control a
That's
lot,
a,
can you explain to us a
okay.
little bit about this luck code?
When I wrote these books, they're so different in character. I didn't even realize how can I create something so different. 2 books, they had nothing in common. And then I realized that they're actually complementary to each other. But I was only able to realize this at some point later. So the luck code describes 4 personality expressions. Not 4 personalities, 4 personality expressions or patterns of behavior, or also 4 different languages that we all speak. So every one of us, we have all these 4 personalities in us, but some are more predominant some are not so predominant. And the problem is, if you don't know these personality expressions, what happens is you speak French, someone else speaks Chinese. And even if you're saying the exact same thing, you don't understand each other. And this could be you and your partner, could be this in, you and your child, you and your colleague, your parents, your friends. So that's where misunderstandings come from. And very often we blame luck. Like you have a job interview, you are not successful, and you think, oh, that was not my lucky day. No, it's not about lucky day. It's about personality not communicated in a way that the other person understands. And I'll give you just the very, very basic example. I go into huge depth in the book, but the very basic example is, if my body language is very open and your body language is very closed, and if I come and hug you, you will not feel comfortable. On the other hand, because I have an open body language and yours is closed, I will be suspicious. Why is their body language like this? What are they hiding? So this is miscommunicated personality, which results in reading the vibe in a wrong way. So on an intuitive level, you cannot connect with the person and they subconsciously reject you and you think, oh, that's my bad luck. No, it's not luck. It's just you don't know this personality language, Jess. And the good news is they're very easy to learn. In fact, I will teach you in the next 3 to 4 minutes. Would you like to learn 4 languages
Oh,
in
you
just
know I
4
want to learn
minutes?
it. Yes, 'cause I
So,
don't wanna misread the vibe, like you said. It's
exactly.
oftentimes we don't read the vibe correctly, huh?
Yeah.
So, yeah, take that 3 or 4 minutes. Let us know.
So now I need to show you this, the word luck.
Mhm.
So anytime you wonder or you forget something, you want to remind yourself, just keep this word luck in your mind. Why? Because luck is an acronym for 4 animals. And I've chosen to give them faces because human mind understands images and stories, not letters and numbers. So when I tell you the animals, you understand why I chose these exact animals. And I'll be pointing again to the word luck because I want you to have a visual memory of, of the 4 characters. So the first letter is L. It stands for lion. So who is the lion? Lion is the king of the jungle. Lion is results driven. Let me go and get this prey. Lion is fast. Lion is determined. And can be very intimidating as well. So that's on the slightly negative side. Like if you see a lion in the jungle, you wouldn't dare going any close to them. So in a company, this probably would be the manager or the CEO. You stay at your distance a little bit. You're not too willing to go too close, right? The next one is U, and it stands for umbrella cockatoo. Umbrella cockatoo is a parrot. And why did I choose a parrot? Because parrots are talkative. And this personality is very talkative. They're very spontaneous. They're very energetic. To them, it's all about feeling. So for the lion, it's all about doing, forcing, action, control. Just imagine someone talking about the lion. Just imagine someone like Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, visionary, intense, bold, risk-taking. Whilst the parrot is all about feeling, just about energy, expression, connection. They're colorful parrots. They're vibrant. And why umbrella cockatoo is important? Because it's not just a parrot. It's not just any parrot. It's a parrot with an umbrella, with accessories, with big charismatic personality. So U is umbrella cockatoo. The next one is C, is coral. So coral is the balanced, harmonious, peaceful personality. Just imagine the coral sitting on the ocean bed, and it doesn't matter the thunderstorms on the surface, the coral always remains calm and peaceful. In fact, the coral absorbs the waves so they wouldn't hit the shore with full strength. So the coral is, first of all, one that keeps balanced and harmonious, but also help others to keep their peace and harmony. So that's the coral personality. You can never forget this, can you? So
No.
just think, if you think, what was the next animals? Oh, luck. So Luck is koala. Before I go to the koala, sorry, I forgot to give you an example. Coral would be someone like Keanu Reeves. So this instantly creates an image. He's calm, humble, emotionally steady, composed. So it's all about stability, balance with the coral. With the parrot, just imagine someone with huge personality like Jim Carrey, fun, loving party, loving laughter and people. You can even think about Marilyn Monroe, for example. But the problem with Marilyn Monroe, she had depressive side to her. So just only this side that she showed to people, big charismatic personality. And now we go to the koala, to the K. Koala is all about quality. Quality. Koala are the analytical, research-oriented people, detail-driven people. So they're all about deep understanding. They're very deep about insight, precision. Just think about Albert Einstein, Newton, solitary, reflective, deeply analytical people. So with them, the problem is that they're so deep, they can go into analysis paralysis. And perfectionism as well. And again, the difference here, I know you'll like that. Koala are the people who need some structure. Parrot, they can be completely spontaneous. But koala needs some structure. And koala can be spontaneous to a degree, but only if they have a little plan before that. How can they be? How are they going to be spontaneous? So that's the different personalities explained in a few minutes. And the good thing is everybody is giving you subtle clues all the time. For example, just tell me Raw Vibe podcast. Instantly, Raw Vibe is what? It's all about authenticity, unfiltered emotion, right? So
Hmm.
vibrant. Who is vibrant? The parrot is vibrant. But then it's not just a vibe, it's raw vibe. So you're looking into instincts, into both sides, like the parrot side, which is the emotionally open vibe, spontaneity side. But then you also have the coral side because you are very stable and reassuring and easygoing. You're comfortable. And then you also have the koala side as well, too, because you allow me to talk for 10 minutes. If it's a parrot would never allow me to talk for 10 minutes. Exactly. They would want, like, every 30 seconds, the topic to change. That's the parrot kind of personality. So you have the mixture of parrot, koala, and coral. I can't see a lot of lion not in this environment. We have all of them all the time, but not predominant, some of them. But these three I can definitely see. So now you can read personality. That's the point, because you can see how someone is expressing themselves in the moment. And once you see these personalities, you know how to adapt your language so that they can feel on an intuitive level that you're the right person. They have pleasure to talk with you.
That gives a very, very good visual. So I hope people really remember this. And I'm going to say I have a little L, a big U, a medium sized C, and a medium sized to smaller K.
I agree. I agree. That's exactly how I see you, even though you're the one who would have the perfect image of yourself, of course, because you can see your history and everything. But that's exactly raw vibe is mostly parrot. And then
Yes.
the calm and the reflective side of you, it's there, which makes the parrot balanced. Because without the coral and the koala, the parrot can be very distracted. And they can start things but not follow through. So it's good to
Mhm.
have the other side to balance you as well. So you're a perfect combination.
I like that. Thank you. uh, with all of this comes down to well, you talk about neuroscience and blending neuroscience with your coaching experience and your personal experience and stuff. There are these high performers, peak performing people, and then are they authentic? So I guess what I'm really wondering is how do people balance their high performance
Hmm.
attitude and who they are with and being
This,
authentic instead of just trying to succeed and become the number one top person?
yeah.
Hopefully that made sense.
Yeah, totally. That's a really important question. And I really love this question because without understanding your personality, you will always perform and act success, but you will never be truly authentic. You need
Mhm.
to know your personality. For example, I know that I need a little bit of structure. And even though I want to develop full spontaneity, I don't have it right now. And the reason is because when I was born, I was a parrot. I was the happiest child in the world. Always smiling. You can see these big cheeks. I would now have some cheeks, but back then big ones. Happy child. And then at the age of 18 months old, I had a car accident. I literally saw my mom dying on the street. Fortunately, she recovered, but after a few months of being in a coma. So all this trauma, I stopped talking completely. And then I started stuttering, which made me very introverted, which is great for writing books. But then I realized that if I want to present my books and if I want people to learn about my books, I need to speak. So I need to develop the parrot personality, which includes the spontaneity. But it's a journey, and that's the hardest journey of my life, to actually return back to who I was born to be. Because after the car accident, I became more of a koala, coral kind of personality. Very deep, very introverted, always seeking calm and balance and helping my family to be safe, completely different. So trauma can completely turn your personality and make
Mhm.
one of the expressions or another one more predominant. So if you know your strengths and weaknesses that come naturally through your personality, you can be your authentic self and then you can give your best performance. That's the key. So let me give you a quick example with each one of them. So the
Yes.
lion is focused on results. Lion is a high achiever. They're decisive, bold. And when I say lion, don't think of one person. You have all four in you, but not all of them have the right to be expressed. You suppress some of them. So just think, you said you're most naturally expressing is the parrot. Someone else is most naturally being a lion. So it's good for everybody to see their own personality. So the lion loves taking risks. So they're this high performer, but then at the same time, they can be impatient, aggressive. They need to master collaboration. They need to master active listening. And only then, so you have strengths, you have weaknesses, but when you overcome your weaknesses, you actually develop your superpowers. I have one favorite expression, which is my own, and I love it. Every superhero is just a normal hero until they meet their supervillain. So you need to meet your weaknesses face to face. And then only you discover your superpowers. So the lion, yes, they're focused on results, but they can be impatient and aggressive. And only when they overcome this, then they can become unstoppable and literally undistractable when they need to achieve a goal. But they need to learn patience. They need to learn active listening. So most naturally, they will be great CEOs, founders, entrepreneurs, crisis managers, sports coaches, because they need to work under high pressure. Then we go to the parrot. Parrot is charismatic. They are focused on communication, relationship. They are full of optimism and confidence. But at the same time, they struggle to follow through. And they need some structure because this keeps them focused and organized. Otherwise, they can be distracted, inconsistent, over-promising. And again, you have the balanced personality of parrot plus the others, but someone who is just predominantly a parrot would have these problems, and they will need a lot of validation and constant approval as well. And until they overcome these problems, just weaknesses, they will never discover their true power. And their true power is that they're so magnetic, they can literally open any door. And they can build lasting relationships, but only after they overcome their weaknesses. Before that, they build not so lasting relationships. So they'll be great entertainer, host, speaker, maybe comedian, event planner, creative director, or maybe in sales and management and marketing, sorry. So it doesn't mean that if you're a parrot, you can't develop you can't become a lion CEO. You can, but you need to put some extra effort into it. And then, do we have time for me to tell you for the coral and koala?
Yes, I'm thinking you're talking about me.
Really? Sorry, I didn't give you a chance to talk a lot, but
But no, yes. I want to hear for the C and the K because I think this is important because I immediately recognized in me
Mm,
what you were
yeah,
talking about. So maybe other people will do the same. So yes,
exactly.
please continue. Continue with the coral and the
Wonderful.
koala.
So the coral, they're people naturally empathetic. They're patient. Just imagine the coral, they're sitting on the ocean bed. They're so patient. You can't say for a lion they're naturally patient. No, they're not. So coral always seeks emotional safety and calmness, and they're focused on peace and balance. But they struggle to say no. So they can get completely burned out because they can't say no. And they could do things that completely not aligned with their nature, not aligned with their authentic self, because they can't say no. So they're not coping well under pressure either. So if you give them a lot of changes and chaos, they panic. They don't know how to process it. If you give them clarity, they can do the most boring tasks that nobody else wants to do. They would do them with love. They would do them with perfection. They love these boring tasks because they're predictable and they give them safety and security and balance, and there is no constant change and chaos. So that's the kind of coral personality. And also because they don't want conflict. So there is nothing they hate more than conflict. So they could be passive. Did you want to say something?
No, I'm just
Okay.
amazed at how you have come up with this and put everything together because
Well,
everybody fits into one of these
yeah,
four. Uh,
yeah.
yeah, I'm just wow.
Well, I missed my plane on the 4th of April 2024. So it's a 444. And as I'm staying there, absolutely annoyed with myself, and I had to pay a huge price for the next airplane, and I hate myself in this moment. And then I have a sudden realization, 444. There are 4 phases of the moon, 4 cardinal directions, 4 seasons, 4 card suits, and a list of many fours. And I was thinking there is something here. So I put it on a little text message sent to myself, and that's how the idea was born, like this, instantly. So let me finish with the coral. Um, so because they want to avoid conflict, they might see a red flag, but they'll keep quiet. So they wouldn't talk. They will be passive. That's their weakness. But then once they overcome this weakness, they can develop exceptional diplomacy because they have the ability to mediate and create harmony even in the toughest situations. So they can be a great therapist, wellness coach, nurse, conflict mediator, even HR, because HR work with people. And then the koala. So koala is all about quality, precision, depth, insight, structure, long-term vision. So they can see risks from way ahead before anybody else. But they tend to overthink, and then they go into perfectionism. So this downward spiral of analysis paralysis. And you'll be surprised that koala, the only people who actually go to analysis paralysis. A lion would never go into analysis paralysis. They would rather do a mistake, the wrong choice, but make a choice. Whilst koala will think, and then they might not even get the courage to act. So see how different personalities are. And this person would be excellent researcher because they have extraordinary attention to detail. They have remarkable quality of work. The depth that the koala would give you, no one else will give you. Just the problem with koala, they would be thinking so deep that they might not actually give you the depth because they want to perfect it more and more and more. So perfect data analyst, strategist, engineer, writer, accountant, even designer of systems. So know your skills, know your weaknesses, but remember your superpowers. You don't have them until you overcome your weaknesses. So again, your weakness is a mirror, and you will never become a superhero until you actually look at your weakness face to face. And if you want, I can tell you just in a couple of words. I don't know if we have time, but
Yes, we do.
yeah, okay. Just very briefly, very quickly. If you a natural koala or parrot or coral and you want to develop lion qualities, for example, I needed to do this. So when I was a child, due to my car accident, I was a coral koala type of personality. But then later, when I moved to England, I became a manager of one company, then another very big company. So I needed to develop lion qualities. So practice both statements. Practice, when you're at home, practice making decisive actions. So even if it's something really small, shall I have a cup of tea or cup of coffee? Make a choice decisively. Don't overthink it. Practice taking risks, small risks that you can handle, but practice, and even if you fail, that's practice toward becoming the lion personality. Then the lion personality, if you're a lion, but you want to develop coral personality and coral qualities, because if you're a lion, for example, if there is an argument and you are a lion, you would want to dominate. So you might completely ignore the other person's point of view. So once you know you are a lion and you tend to do this, that's your weakness, what do you need to do? Just take a break for 10 minutes. Instead of being pushy and domineering, say, I need 10 minutes to go and calm down. And when you go and calm down, don't get a coffee. Coffee will boost your dominance. Get a chamomile tea. So this kind of simple, subtle steps you can do to actually transform your personality. But how does it start? With just making a pause. Pause. So don't go instinctively into what you have always done. Don't go into your habits. Just pause, think, I'm expressing lion. I want to be expressing coral. So lion is fire. Parrot is air, because parrot flies. Coral is water. And koala is earth, because koala lives on the earth. I can go in a lot of depth with this, but I'm just giving you the basics. And if you want to calm down the fire, what do? You pour some water.
Yes.
Yeah? So know your fears, know your weaknesses, know your strengths. And most important than all, know your destination. Because you can be anyone you want. You can develop any one of these energies. They live inside you, all of them. And if you have not been so much of a lion so far, it's because you didn't need it or you run away from it. That's why we spoke about hidden fears. But if your life and your dreams require you to become this personality, just go ahead and do it. Like I couldn't talk, but I need to develop this. So I keep talking, even if I make mistakes. So I can make silly mistakes, which I would never do in a normal conversation. But I keep going. And bear in mind, I'm very much a koala. I'm a perfectionist. But at the end of the day, I realized that done is better than perfect. So keep going and you'll get there. Choose a destination and it will become your destiny.
I like it. And I'm going to add, as you said near the beginning, be that 4-year-old in the Batman costume.
Yeah. Excellent. Wonderful.
This has been, once again, a wow moment and very, very good and very, very helpful, I think, for a lot of people out there. Uh, it makes me stop and pause and look inward at myself and to really assess what are I'll just say, what are my animal characters? And as you were explaining, I definitely saw where I fit into the four. So
Wonderful.
amazing.
Shine
I just
the
want to
light on your personality.
Yeah. Well, I want to remind everybody once again that the conversation today was with Ariel Vox, and you can find a lot of information about Ariel on our website at arielvox.com. And I'll make sure that I have that in the show notes. And Ariel is an author, a speaker, an educator. And the two books that we were just going over were we started really with the Fear to Fierce, and then we wrapped up with Crack the Luck Code. So I hope everybody goes out there and finds their animal power and become fierce.
Mm.
Ariel, thank you.
And thank you. Thank you so much. It was a lovely conversation. I really loved seeing you again.